This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm George Thomas. Today marks a huge day for the pro-life fight. It's the annual March for Life in our nation's capital. CBN's Paul Strand is there with more.
Standing as people are pouring in for the March for Life, it looks like this could be one of the larger ones on record. And that could be because the death toll from abortion is climbing ever higher. Some 62 million babies now killed by abortion since Roe v. Wade legalized the practice nationwide. Something different about the March for Life this year is while other presidents have sent tape messages, President Donald Trump showed up in the flesh. And he showed why some people are calling him the most pro-life president ever.
The life movement is led by strong women, amazing faith leaders, and brave students who carry on the legacy of pioneers before us who fought to raise the conscience of our nation and uphold the rights of our citizens. You embrace mothers with care and compassion. You are powered by prayer and motivated by pure, unselfish love. All of us here today understand an eternal truth. Every child is a precious and sacred gift from God. Together, we must protect, cherish, and defend the dignity and the sanctity of every human life. When we see the image of a baby in the womb, we glimpse the majesty of God's creation.
As these marchers descend on Washington, D.C., they face both good and bad news. Bad news, Capitol Hill is so divided that it's hard for any kind of pro-life legislation to pass on a national level. But at the state level, hundreds of pro-life bills have passed, with many more expected. And the Supreme Court has an abortion case coming March 4th that some say could lead them to reconsider Roe v. Wade. The death rate from abortion is going down year by year, but as long as hundreds of thousands keep happening every year, these marchers say they're going to have to keep coming to Washington, D.C. and marching on the Supreme Court. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from the March for Life.
Paul, thank you so much. In other news, a second American has been diagnosed with the coronavirus. Health officials announced Friday a Chicago woman has become the second U.S. patient to be diagnosed with the new virus from China. My colleague Mark Martin joins me now with more. Mark.
That's right, George. The Associated Press reports that the woman, who is in her 60s, returned from China last week. She did not show any signs of sickness, but then she called her doctor 3 or 4 days later to say that she felt sick. The Chicago Public Health Commissioner reports the patient is doing well, but is staying in the hospital mainly for infection control. Meanwhile, a man is being treated at this hospital in Everett, Washington State, after being the first U.S. patient to be diagnosed with the coronavirus. He returned from a trip to central China, the epicenter of the outbreak. The infection prevention manager at the hospital says that in addition to treating the patient, they're taking precautions to keep the staff and other patients from becoming infected.
Having the very first patient in our hospital, it is a little, scary. It's something new, and I want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can with the knowledge that we have to support our team and keep them safe and keep our other patients safe. What we know so far is that they believe that it's spread potentially through droplets when you breathe or cough or anything like that, as well as contact. So actually direct contact with the patient or the surfaces that may be contaminated. So when we go into that patient's room, we're protecting our airway, our mucous membranes, as well as covering our clothing and our hands to really make sure that we're protected.
The number of confirmed cases worldwide has passed 800, causing hundreds in China to become sick. In an unprecedented move, China's government has locked down 3 cities to try to contain the virus. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention expects in the coming days more Americans to be diagnosed with the new coronavirus. It can cause fever, coughing, wheezing, and pneumonia. George, back to you.
Thank you, Mark. Democrats will present their final day of impeachment arguments against President Donald Trump today. The focus now shifts to the second article of impeachment, claiming the president obstructed their investigation. Skeptical Republicans, growing tired of the long hours of the trial, have defended Trump's actions in dealing with Ukraine as appropriate. The president's legal team begins its 3 days of arguments tomorrow. CBN News is providing special coverage of the impeachment saga. We're carrying the Senate impeachment trial of President Trump live every day right here on the CBN News Channel. Anti-Semitism is alive and well, even in the halls of Congress. That's what Vice President Mike Pence told CBN News in an exclusive interview. The president is in Jerusalem at the World Holocaust Forum. He also talked about why Bible-believing Christians strongly support Israel and the Jewish people. CBN's David Brody spoke with him in the Old City.
The Holocaust may be in the past, but the hatred towards the Jewish people and the rise of anti-Semitism is very much in the present. And that was part of the conversation that I had with the Vice President Mike Pence near the Western Wall.
Well, there is a rising tide of vile anti-Semitism that's emerging all around the world. We've seen it result in violence at synagogues in Pittsburgh and in Los Angeles, and the loss of life. But we've also seen it manifested in rhetoric, not only the BDS movement attempting to get people to divest from Israel, thinly veiled anti-Semitism, but even in the halls of Congress. We've heard anti-Semitic rhetoric that has not been roundly and universally condemned as it should be.
Referring to Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, people like that who have said,
well, for people to traffic in anti-Semitic slurs and tropes and not be held to account for that, it's just unacceptable.
The VP may be here in Israel, but the talk back home is all about the president's impeachment trial. Democrats want to see John Bolton testify. Do you have any reason to believe John Bolton has any information that would be worthy of bringing him forward?
Well, I think all the call for additional witnesses and evidence just proves how weak a case the Democrats rushed through the House of Representatives. It really is amazing. I mean, this comes down to a phone call that the president made with President Zelensky of Ukraine. People can read the transcript of the call. They can see there was no quid pro quo. The president did nothing wrong. There's not even a crime that is alleged, let alone a high crime or misdemeanor or treason or bribery, and they'll reject these two articles and acquit the president.
Traveling to Israel is not just political for Pence. As a Bible-believing Christian, it's deeply spiritual, too. Can you educate folks as to why evangelical Christians have a love for Israel, have a love for the Jewish people?
For Christian believers, we're grounded in the conviction that we're called to bless Israel. The Bible tells us that those who bless her will be blessed and those who curse her will be cursed. And really, since before the American founding, Americans called for the restoration of Israel to the promised land. And when Israel was restored in 1948, America was the first nation on earth to recognize the Jewish state of Israel. And we've been with them every step of the way because it's a heart connection.
David Brody, CBN News, Jerusalem.
And today, the Vice President is in Rome for a meeting with Pope Francis. He arrived this morning following his visit to Israel. Pence, his wife and daughter-in-law were greeted by Pope Francis and his Secretary of State, Cardinal. Gifts were exchanged between the two after the private meeting. The Vice President and his family also had a chance to visit the highly decorated Sala Regia, known for holding special meetings between ambassadors and royals. Pence is also attending separate meetings with Italy's president and Prime Minister. Coming up, what program one doctor created in hopes of combating obesity and help people get in shape. But before we go to the break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is, this is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
By sharing their knowledge.
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
And their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
Welcome back. You're watching the CBN News Channel. Obesity is rampant in the church as gluttony has become an acceptable sin. Now, one doctor, well, he is fighting back with a program to defeat this epidemic of overeating. And people are shedding millions of pounds. CBN Health reporter Lori Johnson shows us how.
Overall, the church does a pretty good job avoiding unhealthy things like smoking, alcohol, drugs, and promiscuity, but misses the mark when it comes to obesity.
Research shows people who begin attending church in their 20s are more likely to become obese by middle age than those who don't go to church. This especially troubled doctor and Christian Daniel Amen.
I actually prayed about it because I went to my own church and saw them serving hot dogs, donuts, ice cream, bacon, sausage. And I'm like, they're giving you all this food to kill you early. Save them, then kill them.
He feels it's high time the church deals with its weight problem.
You know, it's just not okay when your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit for churches to basically poison you with low-quality food and think, well, that's what we've always done, so it's okay.
As a brain imaging specialist, Dr. Amen published 2 studies showing as weight increases, the brain actually shrinks. It's widely known that obesity lowers quality of life, adds millions to healthcare costs, and can lead to an early grave. Nationwide, the South leads the pack.
And that's also where there are more evangelical Christian churches. And I'm not okay with that, you know, the Bible Belt widening.
With that in mind, Dr. Amen co-developed a church-based weight loss program known as the Daniel Plan. While the classes last 6 weeks, the diet is intended as a lifelong discipline.
I feel so good now. You know, I swim a mile a day. I was in a wheelchair at one time. I couldn't keep my balance, but now look at me.
75-year-old Phyllis Neal joined the Daniel Plan at her Yorktown, Virginia church. She suffered from pain, depression, and couldn't sleep due to a number of health issues.
Vicodin and Ambien and Prozac, and I was just on so much stuff.
Phyllis ultimately lost 65 pounds, stopped taking medications, felt happy, and began sleeping like a baby. She attributes much of her success to the faith element of the plan.
And God just took control, and He has just blessed my life so much.
Her 75-year-old husband, Dennis, got on board too.
I lost 65 pounds just by eating God's food.
Dennis and Phyllis believe so much in the program that they now teach others.
One of the things I tell people in our classes is if God came down today and said, look, I want you to do this task for me, and then you tell him that you're not physically fit to do it because you're overweight, that doesn't work.
The Neals emphasize the importance of breaking free from processed foods. because of ingredients like MSG, industrialized oils, and high fructose corn syrup.
Diabetes, cancer, all of it's related to sugar. And we got to get that out of our system. We've been hijacked by the food industry.
Instead of packaged items, Phyllis fills their kitchen with natural whole foods, free of chemicals and sweeteners. Chicken strips, cut up vegetables, boiled eggs, beans, cheese, and nuts.
You'll see that I keep fruit available. My grandchildren come in the house. They don't ask for candy here. They go over and get a piece of fruit. And their parents are so happy for them.
Drinking plenty of water helps us manage our weight because, believe it or not, sometimes our brain tricks us into thinking we're hungry when we're actually just thirsty.
People adhering to the Daniel Plan exercise regularly and attend support group meetings. So while obesity continues to plague the church, Christians nationwide are shedding millions of pounds thanks to the Daniel Plan, named after the Bible hero whose diet reflected his commitment to God. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Still ahead, the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs are a week out from a Super Bowl face-off. We look ahead at Super Bowl week with CBN Sports right after this.
Too often we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5, Wednesday night at 9:30.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com to get your copy today.
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. The countdown is already on for the Super Bowl with the game just a week from Sunday. Our Ephraim Graham spoke with CBN Sports reporter Sean Brown for a look at all the hype and prep.
So, of course, we know it's the 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. What are both teams doing this weekend?
They're arriving.
Nice.
Good morning, Ephraim. Hey, man, you know, this is my favorite event. Yes, it is highly anticipated, a lot of excitement, and for good reason, man. It's a big event. The players will probably arrive on Sunday. No media access. All there is just photo ops. You know, cameramen are going to be taking photos, take video, just them getting off the plane. You know, some people looking at what they're wearing, those kinds of things. But there will be no media access until Monday, opening night. Maybe one or two pressers, I guess, with local media, you know, as they're arriving. But they're going to just lay low, man, for the first day. Take it easy, take it in. We're here. And up until opening night, which happens Monday night at 7. So it's exciting. You know, they need that time to prepare because there's going to be a busy week for these guys.
Busy week and a big game. What can we expect?
Well, opening night, you want to watch opening night. I think it's televised, it's live. There's live music. There's fans. There's celebrities from everywhere coming for each team. Each team gets about 45 minutes. Of course, you know, we'll be there. trying to track down the guys whose faith is everything to them, and just be in the midst of the excitement. It's just a busy week for them. You're going to see them on television all week long on different shows, different pressers. It is just, they have a whole lot of things they have to do and squeeze in time to practice. But the most disciplined teams, they try to stay out of it, man. They do exactly what they have to do. They go back to the hotel room. They go out to eat. They go back because there's so many distractions that happen throughout the week, and they really need to focus on what they need to do. And so you're going to see pressers. You're going to see it in their eyes, their excitement, but at the same time answering questions, just trying to really keep their mind on what they're going to have to do come Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, and of course they're going to need some rest too to get ready for that big game. What can you share about the faith of some of these players?
Well, what's interesting is, up until this point, I'm digging and researching, believers on both teams. Of course, 49ers have got Emmanuel Sanders, Jordan Matthews, backup quarterback C.J. Beathard, Kansas City Chiefs. What's interesting about them, I mentioned earlier in the week, is that CEO Clark Hunt is a believer, man, which is exciting because they've partnered with, I don't know if you've ever been to Kansas City, but the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, their head office is actually right across the street from Arrowhead. And so they've formed a partnership. And all season long, they have been, actually for a couple of years now, they've been having chapel services before every home game at 12 o'clock, and so that's pretty interesting. Of course, Patrick Mahomes is a solid believer. So I'm going to be digging, probing to find out the real heart behind a lot of these guys and how they stay focused, and it is their faith in Christ, man. So I'm going to bring that to you, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, we know you're a journalist and you're going to be covering it, so I have to ask, though, 49ers Chiefs, are you going to make a call?
You know what? I'm sticking with the Kansas City Chiefs on this. You know what? I want to see how the 49ers defense is going to try to stop these guys. They have a lot of weapons. I want to know how they're going to be able to keep Mahomes at bay while also making sure that they're not giving up the big play. Their defense is strong. 49ers defense is strong. But Kansas City has a lot of weapons, man. I think you're not going to stop them. Even if they're behind, you got to play them for 60 minutes. For 60 minutes, you have to play them. You can't wait till it gets to the fourth quarter, man. So bring your popcorn, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a show, and I can't wait to see it.
Every quarter counts. What can we expect this weekend on Going Distance?
Interesting. We're doing a show. I had a chance to hook up with a guy named Mark Ricken for Britches Bespoke. We're going to talk clothes, man. Fashion. He has outfitted ESPN's Monday Night Football crew, Joe Tessitore, John Perry, and Booger McFarland. And so we're going to talk about what went into that, and then we're going to follow up with another piece just to go in depth about men's fashion and why it's kind of on a downward spiral and how we can bring it back.
All right, let's do that for sure. Thanks a lot.
Well, you can catch my man right there, Sean Brown, Going the Distance this weekend at 6:30 Saturday night and 7:30 Sunday night, as always, right here on the CBN News Channel.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
From Washington, D.C., uncompromising stories, interviews, and analysis from veteran journalists David Brody.
Escalating fight.
Jenna Browder.
Chose his words carefully.
Ben Kennedy.
Plan to join him.
And Amber Strong.
For impeachment grows a little bit louder.
Bringing you the political news that matters.
We get out and tell the story of the progress that we're making in this country.
Watch Faith Nation, weeknights at 6 on the CBN News Channel.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
As the nations rage, you can stand with Israel.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
Call 1-800-700-7000 and get to life.
This is our nature as a country.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religion he has, which color he is, this is what I'm doing.
Support Israel in their time of need. Get to Life, now available on DVD. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
And I wish that other people throughout the world could see this side of Israel.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world-class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
We go overseas, where more towns and cities around the Taal volcano in the Philippines are on total lockdown, driving tens of thousands of people to flee to evacuation centers. Lucille Talusan reports Operation Blessing is there, helping with medical and spiritual needs, and whole families are coming to Christ.
Remedios Akdalan is so sad to see her whole family enduring the discomforts of staying in an evacuation center. She devoted her life taking care of all her nephews and nieces, and now it pains her that even their children are suffering because of the Taal volcano eruption. They are 16 members cramped in one classroom.
We were frightened because the tremors were strong and frequent. We slept outside our houses, and that's why we decided to evacuate.
A member of their family showed CBN News cracks on the walls of their house that was caused by the volcanic tremors. Their family compound is situated in the town of Calaca, where ground fissures emerged after the eruption, damaging houses. The day after this visit, authorities declared a total lockdown on their town.
I pray to God for mercies, for the eruption to stop, and that other people will not experience what we are going through. I pity the children.
The son of her niece has been down with fever.
My son has fever for 3 days now. It pains me to see my family living under very uncomfortable conditions. The children get sick. Our parents are old and are also sick. What's worse is we don't know how long all this will last. The future is full of uncertainties.
But on that day, JV and the rest of the families experienced hope when Operation Blessing came to the school to give medical assistance.
They say that it is the first time that a medical mission has been conducted here, and according to the doctors, most of the children, especially age 13 and below, are diagnosed with pneumonia, and that is because of the ash that is still present in the air that they breathe.
JV is thankful her son was seen by a doctor along with the rest of their family. They also received free medicines and relief goods. An Operation Blessing pastor also took time to share the good news of salvation to Remedios and her relatives. And as a family, they surrendered their lives to Jesus on that day.
Thank you very much, Operation Blessing. You have given us so much help. Thank you so much.
Lucille Talusan, CBN News, Batangas, Philippines.
Thank you so much, Lucille. Well, that is it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch TGIF, right? Hope you guys have had a fantastic week. Hope you have a great weekend ahead. From all of us here at the CBN News Channel, have a wonderful rest of the week.